You ever heard the phrase, with friends like these, who needs enemies? Well, my good friend, Mr. Bob McVay, sent me a message the other evening and started a whole conversation. And I read, you ever get a Pontiac together for me to race at Pontiac Nationals this year? Well, Bob, thanks for making me think about it. Now we've got to have a conversation with Mr. Bob McVay. So welcome to McVay Automotive, land of Bob McVay and all of his many toys and deeds that he's busy with. The answer is kind of. I kind of do. If you're familiar with all of my Pontiac-ness, I do have a couple of Pontiacs. I have the 1971, which is my green one. I have my 1970, which is a 455, which is my yellow one. But I also happen to have another one that you guys have probably never ever seen that's been sitting in the backyard for the last 3 years, waiting for a chance to become, well, a race car, I guess. And this might be my excuse that I need to be able to build a race car that I totally don't need in order for him to be able to race it at Pontiac Nationals, which is in mid-July?
19th through the 21st, I think.
19th through the 21st of July. So let's talk about what we need to do here and talk with Mr. Bob McVay about what he wants to pilot at Pontiac Nationals that I can help make happen. So, you want to go racing at Pontiac Nationals?
Yeah, I thought we could go up and have some fun.
I like the idea. What kind of racing are we talking about, and what kind of speeds are we talking about?
Well, let's just do some bracket racing in streetcar class or whatever.
Okay. Now, are we talking like street cars or like street cars?
Street cars.
Okay.
Street cars.
So like real drive on the streets, street cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
all right.
Just the bracket class that they have in that. The Pro ET, I believe it's called.
Okay. So we need to be able to run approximately.
I think it's 1160s, 12 flat. If we could be in the top of the class.
Okay. Okay. I think that's probably pretty reasonable. So my 68 that you guys have never seen, as far as I know, is a 1968 350 and a 1968 Turbo 350 and a Pontiac 10-bolt rear end. I have not done anything with this car other than buy it, get stranded twice trying to take it on
I don't want it to.
on trips around the block. And that's pretty much it. And then I spent a bunch of money on wheels and tires on it. But I also did put brand new steering, brand new suspension underneath it. So it's tubular control arms and all new steering. But we're going to need to squeeze a lot more out of that Pontiac 350 to be able to run 12s or mid-11s. Is that possible?
Everything's possible.
Without spending a ton of money, is that possible? Is it feasible? Does it make sense to do that?
It's also what you want to do with this car. I was just reaching out to you because of all your Pontiacs that we could go out and have fun during a local race that we have here in Ohio.
I appreciate that, and I like the idea. I do.
So what you want to put together for us to do that with is entirely up to you, and we will give a hand when we can.
How do you want to... This is a bracket race, so consistency is key.
Key.
And you're an old school all motor kind of guy.
I am.
So no power adder. Preferably no power.
Preferably. I just want to make it simple.
Simple and reliable.
Reliable. Consistent.
Okay. So I'd like to also keep this reasonably budget friendly because nobody wants to see me build a $15,000 Pontiac 350. That makes no sense. I'm not going to do that. But that 350 we can do whatever we want to. In order to get that kind of power level out of a 350, we're going to get a bit aggressive on it. I don't want to put aluminum heads on it because those are $4,000. I don't want to get crazy on an intake because those are $1,000. So we're talking compression, camshaft, little head work.
Yeah. Maybe. We may have to put an intake on it.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. I just don't want to spend, I'm not talking like, dual quad tunnel ram kind of money.
No. But I think we need a little intake on it to make it breathe with a good camshaft.
So we're talking 450 horsepower, somewhere in that range?
Yeah.
Maybe a little more?
Yeah, a little more.
Which is going to be a decent order out of a 350.
It is.
And it's a Pontiac 350, not a Chevy 350.
Yeah.
So, and the tricky thing is, for those of you who are not Pontiac people, is the saying with Pontiacs is you can spend twice as much to go half as fast. It's unfortunately, the small block Chevy world is a whole different world from the Pontiac 350 world. The Pontiac 350 has much more in common with a 400 and 455 versus the small block Chevy 350 has almost nothing in common with the big block Chevy does. So they're considerably different platforms, and if you're going to spend money in a Pontiac, why would you ever start with a 350 when you could just put a 400 or 455 in it and spend the same amount of money to build the same thing?
Right.
So,
more cubic inch.
Right. Just use the extra 100 cubic inches. Right
like that.
Right. But I already have that 455 in my yellow car. So that car is probably tires and maybe a carb and intake change away from running mid-11s, I would think. But I don't really want to ruin that car. And the whole purpose of me buying the 68 was to be able to make it into a race car so that I kind of have 3 different versions of the same car, if that makes any kind of sense at all. So I have no problem with getting a little aggressive on a race car version of this car. The question would just be the way to do this. So we're talking pretty decent compression. Race gas?
Yeah.
So static compression and race gas? Okay. And probably RPM rise?
A little bit more than normal. Got to turn it a little bit.
Yeah, in order to get the horsepower, it's torque over RPM.
Yeah.
So $6,000, 6,500 RPM?
6,500.
Okay.
Everything should survive that.
Okay. I think this is doable. And the nice thing is, we still, at the end of the day, if we don't get this done in the time period that we have, we still have in the back pocket my 70, which could probably hit this pretty easily. So I can start the build on the 68 with the process in mind of have this ready for July. And if we get there, great. If we don't, I'll have the yellow car already ready to go, and we can run that one.
Right.
Or, if I'm really lucky, I end up with 2 cars. We can take both of them to Pontiac Nationals. So, okay. Now, I know you're a little bit busy.
Trying to finish up.
A little bit busy. So I want to stay out of your hair as much as possible. I want to do as much of this as I possibly can myself. But as far as on the machining side of things, I think it would be kind of interesting to be able to show off some of that kind of stuff as far as what goes into building something like this. If it's something we can make happen, depending on scheduling and that kind of thing goes.
Yeah. We get down the road here a little bit.
Yeah.
Get some of this stuff. Get Bill and Billy back going again, and a couple of the other customers I got that's been here for a long time get that shipped out of here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, a lot of this I can do myself because I'm gonna.
Well, we're gonna have to write up a parts list.
Yeah, I got to pull the motor out, tear the motor down, clean the motor up, see where we're starting from because it could be.
Yeah.
It could be hosed anyway. I've never literally driven this car more than onto the trailer and around almost all the way to the gas station twice.
You got any headers for it?
Yep. I've got headers for it. I think we can make this happen. I think this could be a thing. Who out there has made some pretty serious power out of a Pontiac 350? I'm very curious because I've built like a stock rebuild or like a slightly better than stock 350 before, a hotted up 350, but I've never gone kind of race car on a 350 before. I know a lot of people like the fact that they're at the smaller journal size and really, really thick cylinder walls, so there's a lot of possibility there, but I've never done this. Is there anybody out there that's watching this that has done a race car 350 Pontiac to be able to do bracket racing in the 12 to 11 eighths, I think, range? And then I'm going to go back to the shop and I will look at what I've got and get moving from there. and we'll see if we can get something ready for Bob McVay to go race carring in July.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We'll have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely be at Pontiac Nationals. It would be cool to race there. I've been there a number of times. I've never raced them. So, okay.
All right.
That gives me what I need to do. Thanks, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
Back here in the field of forgotten dreams, there she is in all her glory. Ain't she a beaut, Clark? I mean, a little bit of rubbing, a little bit of buffing, she'll just shine right up. Probably not. See, the hood took a little bit of a fat guy. Jumped on it and landed on it, bent the hood. I'll explain that in a future episode, maybe someday. But here's what we've got to work with. There's your Pontiac 350. It's got an Edelbrock intake manifold on it. I did, as I said, already put tubular control arms on it. It's all got brand new all-new steering, suspension components. I've really not driven this thing at all. I think in the entire time I've owned it, I've put like 10 miles on it. But it does run. It just doesn't run great. And I've never really cared because this car just kind of got put aside. Initially, the plan was this was going to be my race car. We've got a lot of friends that do race car stuff. And I've got a really nice car that I use for car shows. And I've got my 70, which is going to be a cool daily driver. And then this was going to be my race car version. Unfortunately, my 70, which is the 455 one, the yellow one you guys are probably familiar with, demanded a bunch of money for that 455. So all of my time, attention, and money went into that car. And then this car got pushed back here into the field of forgotten dreams. And that's where it's been sitting for 3 years. But as far as I know, that is the original 68 350 that's in it. It's the original transmission that's in it. It's the original rear end that's in it. It is a four-wheel drum brake car at the moment. But it's got some potential. And the nice thing is it's not perfect, so I don't care about turning it into a race car. It's decent. It's not great. It's decent. But it could be a cool race car build. The tricky part's going to be what can we do with this Pontiac 350 to be able to make this sucker run 12 flats, 1180s, and do it on motor without spray. I think it's possible, or without boost, because if you're running bracket racing like we were talking about with Bob, you want to be as consistent as possible. You want to be able to knock those numbers down over and over and over again. So we want to try to do this all motor if possible. If we're doing it with boost or with spray, it's going to be a lot easier. But nobody really builds Pontiac 350s, which is why I never bothered to build this. So maybe it's something the internet wants to see happen. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Let me know what you think. See here, it's a bucket seat car. Interior's not terrible. I do actually have new floor pans for it. Both sides, as well as the trunk. The interior's all here. I've got all the trim parts as well. It's a decent car. It's not by any means a showstopper, but I think it would be a pretty solid idea for a race car. Listen to that thing shut. So there you go, folks. That's the idea. Bob wants to go racing, and I think that's something that's going to motivate me to get this car moving forward and actually get it worked on. And if we don't get it done by the time that we have Pontiac Nationals here at Norwalk, Ohio in mid-July, plan B is just around the corner. My yellow 70 sitting over there, and with a set of tires, that sucker better be able to run 11s. Or I'd be super angry at the amount of money I spent on that thing. All right, so maybe just a little bit of money. Maybe intake and carb. Anyway, that's the idea. Also, there might be a plan C if we can't get this thing to make the power we want to be able to make. I do have an ace up my sleeve that I'm not going to talk about because I want to focus on this first. So, Pontiac people, let me know what you think. What do we do? Is this possible? What would you do? How would you build it? What's the mojo here? What's the formula? Let me know what you think. By the way, welcome to Automotive Adventures with Austin. This is going to be another YouTube channel. This is a spin-off channel to be able to kind of show off some of the stuff that I do that's outside of what we normally do here at the shop. And because we have so much content that's going through the shop, this is going to be specifically focused on what I do and my adventures in my automotive world. So I do a lot of road trips, working on stuff on my own, that kind of thing. Above and beyond what I do here as at Lucore Automotive with my official responsibilities here. That's probably where most of this is going to be. There will be kind of some sister channel stuff where we're bouncing back and forth with content. When we're getting into the hardcore build stuff and machine stuff, and obviously I'm going to do all the work here at work. So there will be content that will back and forth between the two channels when space comes available on the main channel. Otherwise, I can host it over here and not have to worry about it. I have no idea how often I'll post over here. I have no idea how active this channel will be, but at least it gives me a place to be able to document what I'm going to be doing with this car. And, you know, who knows where it'll be. So, there you go. Thanks for being here. This is my very first episode. Welcome to Automotive Adventures with Austin, hosted by me, Austin. See you next time. Take care.